Hello friends, I am Sanyukta and today we are going to be learning another Zentangle original pattern, and the name of the pattern is XYP. Yeah, the name is XYP. I do see the X while drawing the pattern, but I am not quite sure about the Y and the P. I think Rick and Maria once talked about the pattern that they saw it on a note or a dollar. So let's get started with the pattern. I'm going to be drawing a couple of X's here. Yes. And then I'm going to join these X like this. Right? Drawing a couple of more. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a diamond shape over this X, right? And then I'm just going to add an aura like this. On both the sides. Like this, right? And in between, I'm going to join these X's by drawing these rice kind of shapes or seed shape, whatever you may call it. Another thing that you can do is add a dot on these V shape in the aura, and that's the basic pattern XYP, right? So what did I do is first I drew X shapes. Then I joined these X shapes, right? Then I drew a diamond over these X shapes. Then I joined these X shapes with a rice shape and added an aura at the outside, right? And then you can embellish it with orbs, or you can just add orbs on the outline. There are a number of ways in which you can enhance the look of the tangle. But the basic pattern looks like this. So the pattern is XYP, right? Now we are going to be drawing this pattern on our tile. So in front of me is my 3.5 by 3.5 inch square tile. The 4 dots in place, a border with a light hand, right? And I am going to be starting with my pattern right away. Just a reference line drawn with a very light hand. So I am now going to be drawing my X's. XYP is an excellent border tangle, but you can use it in a number of other ways. For example, dividing your tile into sections and then using those sections to fill in different tangles, right? So comes pretty handy, very easy to draw. So I'm repeating the same steps. As you can see, I drew a couple of X's. Now I'm joining them just drew a line for my reference, and then I'm going to be adding these diamonds. Right. Yes. And now what we can do is draw these rice shapes to join the axis. So pardon me for that doorbell. So we have completed drawing the rice shapes, and now what I am going to do is add a little zen, add a little aura on my rice shapes. Yes, like that. So this is not a part of the original pattern, but just to create a variation or a tangulation, I am adding these auras inside my XYP. You may or may not do it. Keep it empty or fill it in some other manner, right? So again, adding these auras on both sides of my rice shape. Just take your time. Go easy, one stroke at a time. Enjoy each stroke. That's the beauty of Zentangle. So I am on the last one, repeating the auras. Right? Want just right. So that's how. And now we are going to add an outer aura. So just going to aura the lines already drawn, right, on both sides. Yes. So now generally what we do is add these dots or orbs on this V shape, but what I am going to do is I am going to be repeating this V shape leaving a gap and adding one more aura, right, on both the sides. So now what we are going to do is I am going to separate this part Again, this is a variation or a tangulation. You can keep the tangle simple as I showed you earlier. I am just playing with my XYP, right? So creating a tangulation, having some fun. So again, I am separating this V portion. Yes, now that we have separated it, now you have these spaces. You can play around with it the way you want. So let us add some orbs here. Like this, right? So I have added some orbs here. You can fill it up with something else. There are n number of ways in which you can do it. Fill up the space. I'm keeping it simple, adding some orbs here. Right? So I'm going to be doing this exercise on both the sides, right? So you can see here I have almost finished with drawing all the orbs and filled in the small little spaces that were left in between, right? So now what I'm going to do is just repeat one more line, a thin aura, just almost touching the previous aura, right? Pretty close. Again on both the sides, a thin aura, almost touching my previous line. So I think here some space is left. I left coloring. Yeah. So that's my XYP. What you can do is these diamond shapes also you can color two of them, right? So I am going to be coloring these two. Yeah. So just inking two of the blocks out of the four. So you can see here I finished inking these opposite blocks, right, of my XYP. And now with the rest of the space, maybe we will use the Tangle Muka, or you can use any other pattern as you wish. So what I am going to do is add probably one more line or aura to the already existing line so as to separate my XYP from the rest of the filling that I will be doing, right? So just a thin aura, one more line, and just add some lines inside this aura, keeping it simple. Just adding simple lines. Right? Just to kind of separate my XYP from the rest of the tile, which I will be filling it with mocha now. So you can also add some small orbs, right? Or you can color the alternative blocks, that also looks nice. I'm just adding simple lines here. Yeah. So for the rest of this base, I think we'll pick the pattern mocha and fill up the rest of the space with mocha, right? So I am using mocha as a filler here, just using the space that is available. Adding an aura here and there, right? So using mocha as a filler, for the rest of the space. You can use any other tangle you wish to. There are a couple of tangles that we have already learned, so feel free to use it. I am using mocha here. You can also use a combination of flux and mocha, right? So just adding some aura here and there as per the space available, right? So we'll be doing the same exercise this side also, using the pattern mocha to fill up the rest of my space. A mix of infurled and unfurled mocha, whatever you feel like. Right? You can also use mocha sprouts if you wish to. Right? Entirely up to you. So going to be using some mocha sprouts. Again, mocha here and there. So I filled up the space with mocha on both sides, right? Now we are going to be shading our tile. So what I'm going to do is going to add some graphite on the edges here. A touch on these two empty blocks, right? Then at the bottom of these orbs, then on one side of this shape that we have drawn, right? And then I'm going to add some heavy graphite to separate my XYP from the filler mocha, right? So I'm not going into detailing of shading mocha individually. I'm going to shade the tangle as a whole. So as you can see, I'm going pretty heavy here, adding a lot of charcoal. Yes, and the same exercise on the other side. Trying to separate my XYP from the mocha, going pretty heavy on the graphite, not going to shade the mocha individually, going to shade the tangle as a whole. What is called the pillow effect in Zentangle terminology, wherein you darken the edges so that the center pops up, right? So now with my blending tool, going to blend So this is just one of the ways you can play with XYP. There are a number of ways that you can create variations, some of which I'll be posting on my Facebook page by the name Sanyukta Zentangle. You can have a look. I also keep posting my tiles on Zentangle's mosaic app by the name Sanju. So if you want to have a glimpse of my work, you can also visit the mosaic app. And then one side of these keep rotating your tile for the ease of hand position so that your hand is comfortable. Right? So we are done with shading our XYP. Now we are going to blend this graphite that we have added. Just make sure the center is white and you only darken the corners, right? The same exercise on the other side. So I'm just going to retrace this line to make it a little bolder. We often do that in Zentangle after shading. If we want to re-emphasize certain lines, we always retrace it, right? So now I am going to take my white charcoal, General's white charcoal, and add some white charcoal at the center of my mocha. Just to highlight. Right, and some on my XYP. Right, so that's the tangle pattern XYP. So I am now going to initial my tile. Take a moment to appreciate your tile, such a simple pattern and how beautiful it looks. I'm going to sign and date it. Right. And we'll meet again with another Zentangle original. Till then, have a good time and stay safe.